Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. This is me, Dr. Sarah Sultan, and this is my husband, Saeed Mohammed Akib. It's been a long time. We worked together 6 years, 7 years.
From when?
Um, I think since 2019 we have been working on Coaching Alley or 2021
Yeah, coaching initiative.
sometime.
Yeah, 2020 COVID
But
times.
yeah,
COVID times.
but during all that time when we were trying to help students, I was always thinking just sharing resumes or giving feedback on SOPs, etc. That's at some point you overgrow it, and at some point it's too repetitive. Plus, that's not giving them what they actually need. Maybe their problem is that they don't know where to start, or they don't know how to stay motivated, how to not self doubt yourself, how to not self doubt, redundant words. Um, Things like that, where you have a lot of things to think about when you're applying for graduate school. There is an emotional part of the journey we don't really talk about. So that's what I wanted to share, because we are in this together. We came to US as an international students. We got married. We didn't come together. We got married after we met here. But anyway, we have been through that process: immigration, applying for EB1A and IW, all of that. But it was hard, and there was an emotional journey that we need to talk about. Um, how to keep going, and how to stop those distractions, or um, thinking about what worked for us and what did not work, reflecting on all of that. So that's why I want to do this podcast, and let's talk about that. I vividly remember what it was like when I was about to graduate from my master's, and very uncertain about my future, thinking about whether I should get a job or I should apply for PhD. It was not easy because in my field, job situation is very different. Um, it was depressing and lonely. And it makes sense, because if you do not have a support group and you are like only person in your friend group or in your family who is ambitious to go abroad for higher education, it's hard to relate to other people. It's hard to tell them what you need and how they can help you. They cannot. It's simple as that. So for that reason, I had to take a lot of steps. It blows many people's mind that I moved out of my house. I told my parents that I need to be distraction free. I live in Haripur, and I moved to Lahore. I stayed in hostel, and I worked on my application. Like I wanted to focus on my application. I want to support myself. So I did tuitions on the side to support myself financially, and then I was working on the applications. Um, but I remember that feeling of being uncertain and thinking, this hustle, will it ever end? Will I ever get what I want? Will I go to US and get my PhD? And will doing that PhD change my life the way I feel it should? So tell me about that. I don't think we ever had a discussion about that from your perspective, what it was like for you 1.5 year before moving to US, what life looked like for Akib.
So when I was in my last year of my bachelor's degree, I do remember that really I did not feel excited about working in the industry, and it's because that the situation, I think that was 2015, 2016, and I found that whenever we visited some construction sites as part of our coursework, I did find that there's no innovation, and those construction sites kind of felt depressing,
Boring.
boring. I'm sure that the owners and the clients, they were very rich people and they were making a lot of money, obviously. But as an engineer, I did not feel like that my knowledge would be used there, whatever I learned at NUS as as part of my degree. And so I always felt like that my future lies outside of Pakistan because I had this feeling that I
You
just
might
need to
find your people there.
I
It's
need to
hard to
expand
relate
my
to them.
horizon. And another part of that, the main reason I moved from Lahore to Islamabad to study in NUST, I could have gotten an admission in UET, which is obviously a top school in Pakistan, and it would have costed way less. It would have costed way less, saved my parents a lot of money. But the reason I moved to Islamabad was I wanted to go outside of Lahore because I wanted to travel, see a new place, experience new things, I guess. And so the same sentiment was also contributed to my decision that I don't want to stay in Pakistan anymore. I was born and raised in Lahore. I spent 4 years in Islamabad. Okay, where am I gonna go now? Sindh, KPK, Balochistan, and I just felt like, okay, it's time to go abroad. So both of those things, they kind of went hand in hand. I want to see a new place, new culture, meet new people, experience new systems, and at the same time, I want to grow as an academic. So those were the reasons why I did not feel excited to stay in Pakistan, and I always had my heart set that I want to go abroad for my master's or PhD degree.
So when I'm talking about that I moved to another place, and that's strange because it's not common for women to do that. It's more common for men.
Yeah,
Um, so you can relate to that. But let's talk about the time when you were really applying to graduate schools and how it looked like at your house at that time. Because the reason I moved out, we have a zoo in our house. We are a lot of people. I love my siblings, but they are a distraction because we always want to get together, dance, or have music in a background, or sometimes we want to watch movies.
you can't focus.
Yeah, I cannot focus. Even if I wanted to, someone will come and distract me, or even if one of my siblings is not at home or I get the place to myself, something happens. Someone knocks at the door, will barge in from another street, and they just want to talk to me for no reason. It's a lot of distractions, and that was one of the reasons I told my parents that I need to do this. And the other reason was financially being feeling pressured that I did my master's, 18 years of education, and why I'm unable to contribute to my parents' house. And if I'm not able to contribute, why I'm being a burden on them. That was another thought process in my mind. Um, but let's talk. Was your house quieter? Or like if you are the only son in the house, is everyone accommodating to you all the time and you didn't need that um, you didn't had that need to move out of your house when you were applying, like application process, just that timeline?
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
So a key difference between our households is that because you live in more of a rural setting, um, a lot of your relatives, they live close by. By close by, I mean 2 feet, and they can always come in, knock on your door, and you have to let them in and then serve them tea and biscuits. But
Yeah, that's true.
I lived in an urban part of Lahore, and all of my relatives, they were half-hour drive away. Because of that, there was a lot of peace and quiet from external sources.
All the relatives listening to RKB is being grateful. He's not being disrespectful. Okay.
When they did come, it was fine, but they were not able to come a lot because we were spread out in Lahore. And my siblings, I did not have. So first, I had the I had the numerical advantage. How many siblings do you have?
Four. Five, including me.
And you were the eldest. You had four younger than you. I am the youngest.
Four chipmunks.
I had two elder than me, so that's a key difference. And so yeah, the house was quieter. I remember that when I was preparing for my GRE, in I started my GRE prep in September of 2017. I remember booking the slot before I started my prep. I just paid my fee. I don't remember how much it was, and my test date was in 6 weeks.
You bought the cap before you bought the dress.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. You gave yourself an ultimatum that
Yeah.
this is when I really need to take the GRE, and it's coming up, whether I like it or
Uh,
not.
th-
Yeah.
the whole story was that I first, after I got out of school, I graduated from my bachelor's in 2016, and the first place I applied to was in Italy. We will expand more on that. And when I started my prep for GRE, I just had my Italy visa refused just a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
that's why I was kind of desperate that
Yeah.
it's
I can see
yeah,
that. That would be a strong
a
motivation.
very strong motivation coming from that I was cornered because I need to get out. My family did not have a lot of money to
Hmm.
pay tuition out of pocket. Okay, I applied to Italy. I got an admission, but they did not offer me any kind of funding. So that's why my student visa application got refused. And now I was depressed. Those were like few days were
Welcome to reality.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And so I studied for my GRE for 5 weeks. I remember studying from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., 12, 13 hours a day. I think also on the weekends. That is why I was able to prepare for my GRE in 4 or 5 weeks time and get a good score. So, to answer your question, original question, yes, I had the luxury of having a quieter house, no relatives coming in, not that
I were
frequently.
accommodating to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, parents were accommodating, so yeah,
Being the youngest and being the only son
yeah,
pays off.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
engineering degree.
Yeah. Lot of fresh graduates go through self-doubt, and one of the reason is there are a lot of myths. You have to have a certain type of GPA or a certain number of publications or right? Um, did you go through any of that? Did you have did you experience low self-esteem or like
Oh
what
boy,
was
how
it
much
like?
time do we have?
Just an hour. Just we have to pick up
So,
hurry.
yeah, my GPA was 3.29, and from my research, I knew that most of the schools they have a cutoff GPA of 3.0. So I thought, okay, at least I'm safe there. I have a required minimum GPA. And other than that, I did not have any professional experience, no papers, no publications. After graduating from my bachelor's degree, I got together with a friend of mine, and we decided that okay, the two of us, we're gonna lead the way for our group of friends. We're gonna go out, and then we're gonna carry everyone else, kind of that type of thing. And then we thought, okay, where do we want to apply? Europe, Australia, Canada, US? I mean, there are all sorts of options, right? In Australia, we knew that you have to spend a lot of money upfront, and then the most common way that we had heard was that you go there and you drive a taxi or work in a gas station or something, and that did not appeal too much to me. And so, okay, Australia's out. And then we thought, how about US? And then we thought, oh, all of the universities in US require they
GRE, yeah.
require GRE, and I remember that me and my friend making fun of ourselves that oh we cannot give you that is such a hard test. Do you know that extremely talented guy, he gave GRE, and and he got only 3.0. Oh, that's so hard for us. We can never do that. It's impossible. So that was kind of a self-doubt that was inflicted, that we inflicted upon us from whatever we heard or saw um around us. Like no one told us that, okay, just give the test. What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Like that was a
You can
bare minimum
lose your
thing.
money, but yeah.
Yeah. And and the average response should have been, you're gonna do fine. Don't worry about it. It's not that hard of a test.
Just to be clear, I'm someone who aggressively opposes GRE. There are a lot of universities that would admit students without GRE. So I'm always like, what is the point?
Yeah,
What are they
today.
trying to prove? Yeah, it's a changed environment now. It was not like that. Both of us had to take GRE.
Yeah.
So
In
it,
2017, 2018, I think almost everyone required GRE.
yeah,
Everyone. So that's why we targeted some schools in 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 Germany, and the main reason was that you have to put 20,000 euros in an account, and then you can spend that when you're there. This is your money. That was kind of the thought process. And I had the funds because my mom, she recently retired and she got quite a large severance package, 35 lakhs, something like that. And that was there. We had that before we spent it in 2 or 3 years. I don't know where it went. But we had that at that time. And so I thought, okay, this is my bank statement. We applied to some universities. We applied to Technical University Dresden, TU München, but we did not get any admits. And then as backups, we had applied to, I think, 2 or 3 universities in Italy. We were going for the Ergo scholarship, ERGO, and I think the process at that time, I don't know if it's the same or not. You get an admit, you get the visa, and then you go there. And once you are there, there's some process that you can get that scholarship, and it will cover a huge chunk of your tuition. So that's what we were going for. Both of us, we got admits in University of Bologna, and we followed the whole process. We even had the same appointment, visa appointment, in the Islamabad embassy. Mine was at 9 a.m. His was at 9:30 a.m. So we went together, all of that, and I will expand on it some other time, but my visa got rejected because they quickly saw that I do not have the financial means to support my education. And so
did
um
his got
no,
accepted? Okay.
he had the financial means. Yeah, but I
So,
I did not.
okay.
But
Mhm.
yeah, and after that the thing struck me, okay, why did I not give GRE in the first place? Why did I waste a year? And why did I self-doubt myself? And then I thought, I'm just gonna give the GRE. A few days ago, I reached out to another batchmate of mine who was studying here, and he gave GRE, and then he told me you should do this and that. And then important thing, he pointed me to some of the resources that you can prep using the Magosh portal. And how do you get that? Because you have to use a credit card to pay for that. But there were some people that we can give you that portal for 2 weeks. You can pay us in rupees prorated amount. And so he gave me those resources, and I was extremely grateful for that. So I gave GRE. So the original question was that self-doubt about that. That was a huge self-doubt. I wasted a year. It was a good learning experience. But had I been more confident, or had someone told me that just go take GRE, do some prep, just go take some GRE, and you never know what you're gonna get. And if I had done that, I'm sure that I would have gotten a good score even at that time. So, yeah, self doubt inflicted upon myself, nobody telling me. Even we, as some of the seniors and some of our other friends, GRE is seen as a holy grail. You might have, it's like getting a gold in Olympics. That it feels like kind of that when everyone talks about GRE. And another thing about GRE is that why a lot of students are scared because of that. And now I teach this that you need to set a score. Everyone is everyone thinks that they need to get 335 or 340 score. No, you don't. It does not matter. Focus on which schools you want to target, and then so the need established by everyone else to get a higher score is also very off-putting because getting 330, 335 is really hard. That is hard. But GRE itself, if you're targeting anything above 300 and below 320, that's easy. That can be done. That can be managed.
That's a
That's the main.
guy who had 320,
323.
323. Do you know what my score was?
It was enough. That's the key thing.
Sure.
It was enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Um, when I think I was privileged in a sense that I already went to exchange program when I was doing my master's. I did not have a lot of self-doubt. I'm a special case because I think the reason I feel like I was born confident because I always had so many struggles to deal with always. So when I was applying for grad school, I was like, what can go wrong? What's there that I cannot, face? The thing with the GRE was that I did not have any companions or anyone who could guide me, and it was at that zoo at my home. It was hard to focus. I took my GRE before I moved to Lahore, and I my score was 298, I guess, not even 300, which you mentioned. Um, what kept me from being having that self doubt was I had publications. I had 5 conference publications when I was applying for PhD. I had a exchange program experience. That's one of the things I want to lead another question to, that once you have this self doubt and you are figuring things out and you are thinking you don't have enough CGPA or not enough GRE score, how do you make up for it? For me personally, I think the strength that I used was writing. I loved writing and I took advantage of SOPs really well. And my admission committees, they told me later that yeah, the SOPs made a huge difference. But let's talk about that. And if you are thinking you have some kind of discrepancy in your profile, how did you make up? Was there any discrepancy, by the way?
My feeling was that my profile was very, I would say, generic in a sense that, okay, I had a GPA, I had no publications, I had no papers, and other than that, I had a good GRE score and I had a good IELTS score. That was really it. There was nothing outstanding that I had this award or I had this paper or I had done this type of research with an esteemed research institute or I had some sort of professional experience where I learned some of the very desirable softwares or worked on some of the codes. I had none of that. So my profile was very basic in a sense, but the numbers that I had, they were, I would say they were high. GPA was, of course, 3.29. It was okay. It was above 3.0. That's all that matters. If you have 3.8, 3.9, then that does put you in a higher category. But mine was okay, it's above 3.0. That's fine. My GRE score was high and my IELTS score, I don't think IELTS score matters as much. I had a 8.0 IELTS band, but I think from now in hindsight, I know that IELTS of 8.0 or 7 or even 6.5, it does not make a huge difference. It does not make any difference. So my profile was generic, I would say, and I applied to 7 schools, and I got rejected only from one. I got 6 admissions, and in terms of funding, uh, I had made several videos on that, but I sent kind around 100 emails to 100 different professors in so many schools. I think I sent emails to 50, 60, 70 universities. I don't even remember, but I remember I was spending 2 hours for a month and I was sending so many emails. None of the professors replied to me. Some of them did, and only one of them very in a uh, did not say outright, but she said that I encourage you to apply, and then I applied, and then I got the assistantship. And after I
So you sent 100 emails and you only got response from one school?
I got 16 people replied to my email. 15 of them said, "Nope,
No.
not gonna happen." Like, go out. I have a video where I show all of those responses, and all of them, some were courteous enough where they said, "Hi, sorry, we do not have any space in our group right now. I encourage you to apply next fall." Some were like, "No, I do not have." Dot.
Right. So I see it, I see why they wouldn't, they would say no, because you on paper had a strong profile. Like most people say, you had to have 320 plus GRE, really good CGPA, 3.29, 3.3 is a good CGPA, good IELTS score. So on paper, that's a really good profile, but that's not what professors need. When we talk about funding, funding comes from projects, and projects come through professors. Professors write proposals to get that project, and they need students to complete those projects, those assignments. So they need to see someone who can do literature review, who can do research, who can understand the experimentation, design, and data analysis, and all of that. So if you do not show anything like that in your emails, that would be understandable that they would say no. But the one place that you got response from, Oklahoma State University, is a good university among top 200 or top 150, something like that, but not in tier 1 schools, as I understand it.
No, it's a tier one. It's a R1 school.
Or one school.
Ye-
Okay, still, do you think you got response because number one, it's a state university, they have better funding. Number two, it's in a southern, lesser known state where not a lot of people apply, hence less competition. And number three, they had recently acquired a lot of projects where they needed students and no one had reached out to them. Or like, explain to me why do you think?
Well, I do not know. Whatever I'm gonna say, it's gonna be conjecture at this point.
It's
So
just your
yeah,
like
yeah,
your
yeah,
reflections
because
on, yeah.
I did study from there. I did see. So I think it's a state university. So it's a public school, and they have very good funding. That's what I saw. That they have a lot of students, and even their Department of Civil Engineering lab, that was huge. I have not seen that many labs in even other schools that are ranked way higher. Case in point, I also graduated from University of Tennessee. The lab of University of Tennessee compared to Oklahoma State was, I think, half in size and
Smaller.
smaller.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Oklahoma State has they have a really good lab, and also um, yes, the one thing that you said, that Oklahoma is kind of in the Midwest,
Middle of nowhere.
middle of nowhere. The name isn't as sexy as California or New York, San
But
Diego.
how
Yeah.
did you come across? So when I was applying for graduate school, my thing was that I want to do PhD in energy science engineering, and there are not a lot of schools that offer PhD. So I would go to Google and write PhD in energy science engineering, energy science or energy engineering in US, and I got I came across a few options, and I checked where my GRE score is considered cut off. So that was a filter. And the other filter was that where I can get funding. So I was only left with 3 or 4 options. But when you said you applied to, you apply to 6 schools and then you sent emails to 100 schools. How did you even find those 100 schools? How did you know to apply to Oklahoma State University that no one has ever heard of
Yeah.
in Nust,
Yeah.
Now
So,
it's very well known school in Nust actually when he graduated, but
yeah.
another story.
So I was sending emails first. That's a you do not apply to schools and send emails after. You send emails first because they don't cost anything. And if you get any positive responses, then you make sure that you do apply to those universities. So I sent emails first, and I was also doing shortlisting. Um, so sorry, a lot of questions. How did I find 100 universities? I just looked up usnews.com and just searched the top schools went by ranking by the Department of Civil Engineering, their programs, and I I reached out to schools all over the country in Iowa,
So
yeah,
all of those like 100 schools or something
yeah,
specific.
and at least two, I think one or two professors in every school as well. So
So was there a filter for professors when you randomly?
I need money, take me. No, no filter.
Do you think it would work like that if you don't apply filters on professors now? Like if it's not related to your research or you, I think it was a little easy
One
back then, no?
obvious filter has to be that there are some schools who are doing a lot of research in concrete materials, which is the area that I was targeting. So if a school did not have structures or concrete materials lab, or they had professors that are more heavily focused on other parts, then of course I would not send them
So
emails. You have to make,
that makes a difference because
yeah,
you knew what kind of research you wanted to do, and
yeah,
that's
that's an
how you
obvious filter.
targeted it. Okay, yeah, a lot of people do not do that, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
because um in my email I always said that, hey, this is my thesis, particle packing models in blah blah blah. That's my thesis, and I also saw that you in their recently published papers you worked on concrete, so we are a good fit. Like that was the
Yeah.
whole thing, and if I could make that connection, even by a long stretch, I would do that. But sometimes there were schools where they were not really that projects going on in that space, so I would not send any emails there. Why would I waste my time and theirs? Like, how about you? Because you got a really prestigious scholarship from Oak Ridge National Lab, and it is considered remarkable.
Yeah.
Even today, that was in 2018. Even today, even if you tell someone, how did you start your PhD? What kind of funding do you have? People are in awe, even those students who are here.
Mm.
So,
I cannot relate to most people. That's what I
yeah.
would say. um, the reason is that again because I had very limited options already, and it's funny. I chose 3 schools at the end that I would apply to. I did not have a good financial background. Um, I knew my parents cannot support me, so I do not have luxury to apply to so many schools. I only have a limited budget for application fees. Um, I selected University of Tennessee. They had this fellowship with Oak Ridge National Lab, and you know what? I thought that program is too good. And on their website, it was written, if we select you, you will get 2,500 per month, 30,000 a year scholarship. Um, and that's something I knew. If I get in, I do not have to worry about funding throughout my degree. I do not have to contact anyone after that. And then there was another school, University of Massachusetts Lowell. They had a good program and their website was very user friendly, and they had written down instructions on how to apply, whom to reach out to. So I feel like they were very welcoming and accommodating. um, I applied there as well, but I was joking about the thing that I did not have self doubt. I do, everyone does. um, because I also saw programs at Stanford, at UC Berkeley, and University of California, Davis. Those were one of the top schools overall in US. And now that I think about it, people I know who are studying at these universities, I feel like if I had taken a chance, I might have got in. But one thing was their application fee was $125, which is
Wow.
twice what I would get in Tennessee. I paid $60 in
The
Tennessee,
average was at that time 60
60,
to
70.
75.
Yeah,
Even 90 was expensive, but
yeah. So
125?
125, that fee was a huge, you know, barrier. But also, I'm like, if I apply and then don't get in, that's a lot of money to be wasted. But in a long run, now that I think about it, 5 years, I don't know. But anyway, it worked out for me. I still remember I gave the interview, and that interview was such a blunder. My microphone wasn't working, so I cannot hear them, and they cannot hear me. The panel at University of Tennessee, that's what I'm talking about. And at some point, they were like sending me chat, and I was communicating that I'm trying, and they're like, can we reschedule you at midnight, like 5 hours later? And then they would say, we think that would be too much for you, that would be midnight in your time zone, so let's try once more. And I plucked out my headphone and like, can you hear me now? So stupid, I did not think about doing that earlier. But anyway, I gave the interview, and 3 weeks later, I got this email that I was selected. I was back home, not in Lahore at that time, and I remember I woke up in the morning, I checked my phone, and there was this email from the director, Lee. He's still a very good um, professor. I don't know what relationship we have, how do I explain it, but we have a really good friendship, a really good bond that we are still in touch. um, I got the email and I told my father. Then I went and ran to the kitchen and then stopped right there. Like, do I really want to tell my mother yet? Because she will broadcast it in the whole village. I came back. I told my father not to tell her yet. I need to be able to get my visa before I'm ready to tell other people. Anyway, so yeah, the reason I got that funding was I had a good research profile, and I was able to articulate what kind of research I want to do. And um, I had done a little bit of research on Oak Ridge Lab, and I knew what they were offering. I happened to be the perfect candidate for their program, so they selected me. And they actually select, I think at that time it was 10 students per cohort. It was only offered once a year, and 10 students were selected all over the world. um, it it was an amazing experience. I had 3 students from India in my cohort, none from Pakistan, one or two from China, a couple from Australia. So we had a really good mix. It was not a American dominated classroom. It was a perfect classroom. We had a lot of fun.
Going back to when you talked about how you selected your schools, one thing was that your major was energy science engineering. There were not a lot of schools that had this program. But I remember you telling me one more thing, that you were really picky about the climate or the weather of that
Ah, yes,
area.
I forgot
How
about
about
that.
that?
Yeah. Um, there was a program in Arizona State University. I'm like, no.
Why?
It's Arizona is like Multan. It's a
Yeah. Where was Arizona State
desert.
University? In which city? Phoenix, right?
It's closer to Phoenix in
Yeah,
Tampa, but
extremely
that
hot.
that area is extremely hot. It can get up to 48 degrees Celsius or 45 and 48, something like that in summers, and no snowfall in winters, no mountains nearby, no beaches nearby. I wanted a place where I can get lakes and mountains, and that's why I selected Massachusetts and Tennessee, because Massachusetts has that area has a few national parks as well, and Tennessee was really close to Smoky National Park. Um, yeah, that was a major decision. Sorry, yeah, yeah, that was a major thing for me.
And it worked out really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed a
Yeah.
lot, and we traveled to Massachusetts quite a few times after that, and I was like, I would not have loved this place as much as I loved Smoky Mountains. I do love Boston, but different, um, different topic for another time.
Yeah. And another thing, sorry. Another thing, the fellowship that you got selected for, you mentioned that an extremely important part of the criteria was having leadership skills that many other schools, including I think UC Davis and others, what was in Duke University,
Yeah.
they do not have that kind of criteria.
I think so. That's the thing. Energy science is a very interdisciplinary field. I did my bachelor's in physics, and I knew from the start when I was at the end of my bachelor's program, I took some courses in solar energy, and I knew that this is something that I want to do. So I started working towards that, building my profile to get into NUST, to get that master's. And then all of what happened after that was courtesy of NUST as well, because it lay out that path for me. So in a way, I was always moving towards that leadership role that Tennessee needed. But now that I think about it, I think all the programs that offer specifically energy science engineering, they need some kind of leadership experience or some kind of background where you can shine as an interdisciplinary person, because being an interdisciplinary means you have to be jack of all trades. You have to know chemistry and chemical sciences a little bit, physical sciences a little bit. So many different things come into play when you talk about interdisciplinary fields. So even though other programs did not explicitly ask for it, um, there is something that you should consider. But the reason I went with Tennessee as well, because on their website there is mandatory curriculum that you have to take courses in policy and entrepreneurship, which is something really unique, and I really wanted that. I'm always like that person who does not want to keep doing research and keep working in the engineering part of things. I always wanted that policy or business or something more light, something that is more exciting than just the engineering part. So that was also one of the factors. Akib remembers more than I do. Mom brain. Okay, one thing I really want to talk about is that we came from background that we were outliers. We still are. We don't have anyone in our family or in our friends group who had similar ambitions than like us, and so that means no guidance, no one to look up to, no support system, no role model. Did you have anyone to look up to, or someone who inspired you when you were like, he did a PhD, or he went to US and that's who I want to be?
I would say no, not really. Not in my family, not in my friends. Because in my family, I was already the first engineer. So the day I got my admission in my bachelor's and I started my first day of school back in 2012, I was already the first engineer in the family. And so short answer would be no. I I do not know anyone. No one had went abroad.
What challenges that brought when you were going? It's different for women. When I got the admission and I eventually got visa, I told my parents, I told my mom, and she told everyone. There was an incident that I mentioned it to you a couple of times, that one of our relatives, she came to my grandfather and she took her dupatta off and put it in his feet and said, please save the honor of our family because your granddaughter is going alone to study and to do all of that, and she will meet men and be in a country, stuff like that. My grandfather called bullshit, but still, it affected me. It bothered me that why would someone care about what I do with my life? And so I had to deal with a lot of other challenges as well, financially, socially. There's a lot of pressure that a woman goes through. What it looked like for you when you were trying to go, and even though you don't have um, as many restrictions as I did.
Yeah. In my case, my parents were extremely supportive of me in a sense that they could not help me in any way what I was trying to do, trying to get admissions, trying to give GRE or IELTS, but they did let me do anything that I wanted to do. I said I want to take that test. It cost 60,000 rupees or something. That's how expensive IELTS and GRE those tests are. And the only thing that they could help me with was financially. They did help me financially. Beyond that, they could not help me. There was no way. So, but I think that was also a challenge that I had no one to talk to. And the only people that I could talk to were my batchmates and those people who were already studying or who were trying to get admissions themselves, who were on the same path as me. So those were the only people that I was able to talk to. But it was a challenge to find resources. It's not easy to financially be able to afford prep materials for IELTS and GRE. And then to I applied to 7 schools. On average, each application was $75. So times seven, that's almost $500. A lot of money. That was a lot of money. And I was able to afford that. That was a luxury. So beyond finances, I did not,
Dollar was 150 rupee at that time, something around that.
yeah,
Actually, I bought it in
120.
120. Yeah,
Yeah,
122.
120.
Yeah.
So yeah, beyond finances, I did not get much help from anyone, which direction to go to, which research area to target, which school to target. Now, if someone approaches me, I can tell them that why you should not or should go to a place like Tennessee or a place like,
Oklahoma.
yeah,
Yeah.
what are the
Yeah, a
differences?
lot of people don't know that cost of living is much, much, much cheaper in southern states, starting from Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Kansas, even Texas, as compared to Chicago, New York, California. We are living in California right now, and boy, I wish I were in Tennessee, because the same amount of money that you get there, you will get around similar, maybe $200-300 per month more if you are in a high cost living area. So there is a more value for your money when you are in low cost,
Yeah.
low budget schools. um, that does not mean go for places that are very low tier, that would get you in jeopardy for visa purposes,
Yeah.
but still
That's
go for.
another story.
There are
Yeah.
really nice state schools in public schools that are top 100, top 50 in these areas. Atlanta, the Georgia Tech is in Atlanta, which is a very, very prestigious school.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's always one of my advice that I give to students when you're applying and you do not have privilege of wealthy parents that you can live off of. Go for small towns, go for states that have low cost of living, where you can get good value from your money, but also from the investment in yourself, personal growth, and all of those opportunities in small towns, small areas have no match. I think that's, people would have different opinions on that, but okay. Traveling stories.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We were talking about challenges and moving to another country, how your family feels, but now how do you feel when you are traveling alone? Because I feel traveling alone has its own charm. I went to exchange program and I was with 5 6 other students in a group. um, that was surreal because it was my first time flying, but when I was going for my PhD, I'm like, no one can stop me. No one can tell me what to do, and it was a whole different kind of freedom. So what was it like for you? Because I think that's your first time you are traveling internationally,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm gonna so first about traveling in a sense that moving to a new place, right? Um, I remember that in 2012 when I started school at NUST, I started my bachelor's degree. I remember that me and my dad, we both took a bus from Lahore to Islamabad. He dropped me off. It was 8 or 9 a.m. It was a Monday, I think, and I Monday or a Sunday. Um, he dropped me off one day before class. I remember that when we were together in those morning hours, it was fine. But then, of course, I stayed in a hostel at Nest, and I remember that when he was going away, he was walking from Ghazali hostels, then to Rumi hostels, and then he went on and on. He had to exit through gate number
One.
10, 1?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Gate number 1. And I remember that I watched him go all the way from afar, and very it it was a huge thing for me. It was very overwhelming that now he's going, and when he's gonna take the bus and go to Lahore, then when's the next time I'm gonna see him or my family or Lahore? Now I am in this place which is foreign to me, which is new to me. I have never been here before, in a sense that long term. So yeah, that was a very overwhelming experience. But of course, life
Yeah.
goes
Did
on.
you
I
have that
adjusted.
same feeling when you were going through the international
Yeah,
airport, the departures?
yeah, yeah. The first one
I was very excited.
I was very, very excited about that when I went through the immigrations. But I have this thing, even when I think we moved out of our last apartment, I did have this feeling somewhat, even though we hated those apartments, okay?
Hmm.
I'm just like that.
Do you mean London town?
No, Foxborough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hated those apartments, but even then, when we were moving out from there, then I was like, oh, but I'm like that. I don't know why.
Crazy. Okay. That apartment is 30 minutes from here.
Yeah,
We hated that.
yeah, we did. That feeling lasts for 2 minutes. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but then I was very excited that I am leaving, and my mom especially, she has been begging me for months, don't go, you're going away from us. Beta dur chale jaoge and all of that stuff. But I knew that I have to do this. Um, it was exciting that when I got on the plane and it took off, and I knew that I'm going to a better place, that good times are are in my future. So yeah.
We are the first generation in our family to flip the situation, and that's actually what I was excited about too, that I would be able to help my parents and my family in a better way when I'm away, when I'm going to this university and doing my PhD, etc. And that's why I did not cry at the airport or anywhere. My anxiety and homesickness did not kick in until 2 to 3 days in Knoxville. That's when I did not have. I had to cook by myself and did not have any help. That's when I started missing my family. Um,
I did not cook frozen foods.
But yeah, I want to talk about what happened. What was that moment like when you went through the immigration and you are officially out of Pakistan and you're waiting in line to get on that plane, a plane you have never been to in your life. So, what was that feeling like?
That was It was extremely exciting, very exciting. I was very happy, and if I feel like if the plane got delayed, I would say I can fly myself. That's how I was feeling. Based on my happiness, I'm gonna fly. Don't worry, I don't need the plane.
Did you know it would be a long flight? Did you have that in
I
back of your mind?
I so I have no comparison. I had not taken a flight before.
Yeah, no reference.
One only. I flew from Lahore to Karachi. That was 1.5 hour. So I flew, it was a 3 hour flight to Doha, and then it was 16 hours. I'm like, yeah, okay, time's gonna pass. How hard can it be? Very.
I remember I just came back from Pakistan in October, and both times I was feeling like, would this ever be over? Would I ever get off this plane?
Yeah.
It's a
And the
tough
most
flight.
excruciating part is that when you enter the airspace of US, you're flying above New York, but it's still 7 hours away because you have to go to California. So all the states are passing under you. And like, I'm in US, but it's still 7 hours.
Yeah. Tell me about a funny story of yours. I, I,
You know,
I know a couple of bloopers, but the
the
audience
big,
does not.
the big one is that I was flying Qatar Airways and they serve halal meat, and I was so uh
Cautious.
everybody had told me that halal meat does not exist outside the boundary of Pakistan. Everyone is a non-Muslim, and I only ate fruits and vegetables. And then when I got here, then I think 2 years later, you told me the meat was halal. You should have eaten something.
I think that was the time when we were going back to Pakistan together. And that's when he figured out that Turkish and Qatar Airlines serve halal meat.
Yeah, I did not know that, and I did not dare to ask the flight attendants or any other packet or any other passengers because they might think that I'm foolish, and I want to present a better image that, oh, I have been flying to all over the world since I was two. No, this is not my first time. So,
I don't remember any funny or dumb travel stories, but one embarrassing thing I did when I was reaching out to professors, I reached out to a few professors in University of Massachusetts, and I think I copied one's email. So I did not write email directly in the Gmail app. I wrote in the Word app. Uh, yeah, the file. And so in the file, I wrote names of professors, the emails, and I was like, I'll copy paste the whole thing. What I did was I pasted one professor's email to the another professor's email body. And um, I
did you
figured
change
out,
the name?
no.
Okay, that's the worst nightmare.
And I got a response from that professor. He said, did you mean to send email to this professor instead?
Who's my colleague?
Yeah, and like I was honest. Like I want to send to you, and I mixed up.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
god. Okay,
Yeah.
a little bit serious. Social anxiety. We talked about what challenges you face from family members or other people, but there is that pressure on you when you are young in your 20s and you're moving away from your hometown and you are single. For women, we have a lot of pressure to get married at early age. I think I was 24 when I moved out, and I was overage by the standards of marriage bureau. uh, what was it like for you? Did you and actually that affected me too, because I was feeling the same thing. I told I have a really good friend, Abdul Kashif, and I told Kashif bhai that I think I would not ever get married because I would not find anyone charming enough or someone worthy enough. I will always find problems. So I will just adopt two kids, one boy and a girl, and I will be a career woman and live with them. That would be my family. That was my plan. But I had this fear that I would always be alone now that I am not in a place where rishtas and proposals would keep coming through acquaintances, and now I'm too modern or too outspoken person for them.
Too highly qualified.
Yeah.
PhD student.
Did you want to get married when you moved? And
No.
did your mom pressured you into getting married?
I if I have to guess, I would say that she would want that, but because I was the youngest son, she was never able to say that outright. So, no, I did not feel any pressure.
Yeah, I think it's very hard for women, especially. A lot of women reach out to me and they're like, "What if I end up being alone? And what would happen? How would I adjust there all by myself?" And I always tell them, "You will rise to the occasion and you will learn how to live with yourself. That's a blessing in itself." I learned about my hobbies. I went through this existential crisis during my PhD. What am I doing here? Do I really want to be doing a PhD? And do I really want this from my life? And because of that, I explored so much of my hobbies and I invested into them. And that's why I met him and found him. And that's my advice for all women. If you are scared to be alone, find community. Do not try and go out seek people in Pakistani club. Seek people that have similar interests as you. If you like to travel, go into hiking groups or kayaking and sailing. There are so many opportunities in US and in even I think in other countries as well. um, Invest in hobbies, invest in yourself, and you will find your people. You will find people who will motivate you, uplift you, and make your international student life less miserable. um, on that note, can you tell me what was it like for you? Did you have fear of being alone when you were in US, and did you invest into your hobbies or
So I the first few days or the first 1 or 2 weeks were extremely exciting because when people from Asia they come to US, everything is really shiny. You go into the grocery,
orientations?
yeah, you go into grocery stores, there are six different kind of apples and you're like,
He
wow.
was impressed with Walmart.
Yeah, yeah, because even though I spent my whole life in Lahore, which is a big metropolitan city in Pakistan, a kind of a comparable store would be Metro or what's it called, Hyperstar?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where rich people go. So I thought, wow, I'm rich by going to Walmart. But it was kind of the honeymoon phase where roads are clean, you can go anywhere, internet is faster, you can I can watch football matches, which I was really interested in. I can watch movies and all of those things. But of course, after a while, the novelty wears off. So the first thing, I think after my first month, I felt like everything's the same. Everything has become routine or or generic. There's n- just that you go to school, you do your homework, and that's all you're gonna
Yeah.
get your degree. So the first step that I took was that a few of my friends, they were traveling to Austin, Texas, and they invited me that, hey, we are gonna be here for a weekend, 2 nights, 3 days. Why don't you come join us? And I was really sketchy about that because of the cost. That it's gonna take the cheapest flight I found was 300 or maybe $400 return flight from Oklahoma, where I was, to Austin, Texas. And I remember just contemplating that with myself, should I go, should I not go? Because I was making $2,000 a month, from which I had to rent groceries, everything, and to be able to spend 350 plus more when I got there on hotels and food, at least $600-700. That was
It
a
sounds overwhelming.
it was a huge ask. But then I thought that I am here from Lahore. I moved to Islamabad. Then even though I had to pay more in fees at NUST. Then from Islamabad, I moved to US, but I should go this. I should take this opportunity to go see a new place. It was great. I spent a weekend with them, new place, new city. It was exciting. So, but yeah. And then when I got back, then it was again the same routine, same everything.
So
Um,
you had to get into those hobbies and
yeah,
do all of that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it does get lonely after a while. I would say that's how it is. I did not know that there are so many resources in school that you can do to keep yourself occupied and expand your skills and expand your personality. Um, but yeah, it does get lonely.
So we are in a different reality now than we were in 2018. And yes, there are a lot of problems, but reflecting back on all this that you have been through, was it worth it?
Of course,
Yeah.
because I chose this. um Change is either gonna be put on you, forced upon you, or you can take the initiative to make the change yourself. You can choose. So I chose, and I would do this again and again. I was lonely, but I was extremely satisfied. Yeah, you remember my room? I only had one twin mattress. I slept on it.
Whenever I visited him, I could not use their restroom. The bathroom, washroom, toilet, whatever. It was a mess. I cannot describe it. I should not.
Yeah.
Ah,
But it was mine.
yeah.
And that's why it was worth it. So yeah, I was really happy, and I would do it again and again, because from that
Freedom
was,
is priceless.
yeah, yeah. And I could go out anytime, do anything. I could go to nearby cities, or I could do anything. So that was the thing.
Yeah. I think you still had a bit of freedom in Pakistan, but here the infrastructure and the overall people not being nosy, that makes a huge difference too.
Yeah.
Okay. What is one advice that you would give to young graduates, recent graduates or students who are thinking about studying abroad and specifically coming to US?
I would say do it. Because um so even if you come here and you don't like the place, you don't like the experience, you can always go back. But how would you know if this experience is for you or not if you don't try it? So you have to try it. If you're thinking about it, if you know that you have some circumstances that will never allow you to leave Pakistan, or if you're happy in Pakistan, okay, fine, that's great. But if not, then you should give it a shot, and you will learn a lot about yourself and about the world. It doesn't matter if you choose to stay here for a long time, or if you go back after 6 months or after 2 years completing your degree. It doesn't matter. You will learn a lot. It will be a
It
formative experience.
expands your vision, your
Yeah.
perspective. I feel
Yeah.
like once you figure out to do things on your own, move to a new country, it's really scary being in a place where you don't know anyone,
Yeah.
especially as a woman. But once you figure it all out, you are essentially unstoppable. You
Yeah.
can do whatever you want. You won't have doubts and fears. You would
Yeah.
always have this experience to look back to. And I feel like a lot of people are living in the bubble. World is huge and there are so many things. When you travel, you feel how small, insignificant your problems are. And I would say the same thing, to try it out and to apply. And if you have questions about the process of how to apply, how to shortlist schools, we have some really good resources on our website, www.coachingelly.com. Please stay tuned. And we had really, really so much fun talking through all of this stuff. And in future episodes, we'll also share about visa success, immigration, and what it looked like after we got married and lived here by ourselves. And then we had a child as well.
Yeah.
So we will cover all those topics in our podcast. I hope this to be continuous series that we will regularly do. So please share your feedback and the topics that you want us to cover. Until then, this is Dr. Sarah Sultan signing out. Allah Hafiz.
मतलब जहाँ accurate recording आ जाए